So, hey everybody, and welcome to When Ops Meets Dev, and it's episode number 8. Can you believe it, Swami? We're on episode number 8. How are we doing?
Hey, Bobby, I didn't expect, and it's all excited.
No,
This journey, which we started a few months ago, and we thought that uh, we will do it in less than 6 episodes. We will cover the creating of one microservice, but today it's 8th episode. Still, we are working on the first microservice. So it's all pretty excited because we are taking slow and baby steps and discussing all the options which we are exploring. It's an excited journey. Hope the audience are also excited to walk this journey with us. Back to you,
no,
Robbie.
no,
So
absolutely,
John.
Swami. Yeah, I mean we've been up to all sorts the last sort of 7 sessions. So I mean, there's a quick recap before we jump into this session. But last time I think we overran session 6, so we kind of carried on session 7 where we introduced the concept of Terraform and kind of using Terraform as that infrastructure as code to deploy some of our resources into the Azure platform. I think we had a quick overview of DevOps and what pull requests were and Git and this continuous integration, continuous deployment kind of methodologies. And well, today, Swami, session 8. We're kind of mixing it up a little bit more, aren't we? So, I mean, I don't know if should we jump over to your desktop and we can, what we got about a dozen different areas we're going to look at today, starting off with, we're going to introduce a little
Yes,
bit of AWS into the mix as well, haven't we? So, look, should we jump over to your
right.
desktop and we'll
Yes,
give a
please.
bit of a summary?
Yes, please. Yes, please. I mean, we are definitely missing our partner,
Of course, we should
Robbie.
we should try and explain that Robbie is
Yeah,
otherwise
stuck
engaged
in.
with work at the moment.
Yeah,
So
he's stuck in a work. So work is more important than anything on this face of earth.
we've got an
So
empty
all the
space
best,
down
Robbie.
there. We need to put something down there,
Yeah,
really, don't we?
Robbie,
But
that space is for you. So we'll be waiting. Anytime you're back, you'll be on the screen. So hoping you come back pretty soon. This
yeah,
episode itself. So let me. You can flash my screen,
yeah,
um, John.
there we go.
So hey guys, this is the repositories. I'll just flash these repositories real quick here on this live stream. So that's one, and this is the main. I'll flash this couple of things, and this is where we are discussing. I'll take quick 2 minutes, John. Just go off the track to explain uh, because this is the thing which we started few months ago,
Hmm.
and we in this big picture we are right now working on this. This is the one more episode will be there on this before we jump back into that creating Angular. So I'll just walk through
Hmm.
real quick on what we are going to do, how we are going to progress,
Hmm.
because we told that we are going to learn how to develop a microservice and a big solution with this microservice. I don't know to use the term big. Is it an overkill? I don't know, but we are going to create at least a decent or hello world of e-commerce solution.
Hmm.
With at this point when we started, we thought these are the some of the microservices which we discuss, and we are not rushing. What we are doing is slowly. We said cloud native and a lot of terms we have used to justify those things. We have to slowly go. And how do we go? We'll see that we'll create we have created a repository. We tried in local, then we tried in Docker, then we tried in Docker Compose, and each of these microservices having its own repository, and it's having the build and release pipeline. It has got unit test cases. It has got code scanning. Vulnerability scannings are coming in. And then everything in CICD. Infrastructure is being provisioned automatically. You have tons and tons of scripting. So once we have this decent thing, then we can go and do a reconciliation. Can we call this as a cloud native? Or what can we call this? Isn't it, John. Am I making sense?
No, absolutely. I think the point is that we're building this e-commerce solution on a cloud platform. Now we're exploring different methodologies right the way through the stack. From the kind of the full stack development. Essentially, we're exploring it, aren't we, Swami? We're kind of learning as we go. So it's been a great journey so far. So I mean, in terms of what we got planned in this session, then where are we picking up from, Swami?
I'll take real quick 1 minute, 30 seconds to 60 seconds max. So here, slowly you can see this. Please go to this eShop main and see that what is that we planned it. So right now we are dealing with only 2 containers, and we'll deploy that to AKS shortly. But if you see that once we introduce, as and when we introduce new microservice, like one more container, you can see that there are 3 containers in AKS, then there are 4 containers. Then as and when we grow old, the number of containers will expand like anything. Like we have to deal with 7 containers. You will deal with Mongo, SQL Server, Redis cache. Every bit and piece we are seeing here, these things will be a separate container. Like each of these microservice will be paired up with the API, backend, middle tier, and the data store, the API gateway, the clients. Things are going to explode, but we will take baby steps. There is no rush. We have to learn. We will go slowly. So
Absolutely.
the previous episodes, all the things are here, and we all are learners. Apologize if we do any mistake, and we will be more than happy to learn. If we do some mistake, please do let us know. We'll definitely learn. So what is that we are going to do today? So there are tons and tons of things we have. So first we'll do deploy a Terraform to AWS. Why are we doing this? So just to the skill set which we are learning, Terraform, that's the cloud agnostic. So the Terraform cloud we are using on AWS, and the Terraform we are using on Azure. So one skill set you are using in multiple places. So cloud agnostic, like Python, you can deploy it in Windows OS or Mac or Linux flavor or in any cloud. So one skill set at multiple places. Okay. So another thing is we'll discuss about the GitHub actions, and I'll walk you through real quick. Please fasten your seatbelt. Look, this is the first one we will try and we'll deploy. And the next thing is we'll quickly see the Terraform things we introduced. And I think someone asked the question. I told that something we will introduce and again we will revisit. So what we are doing is we'll slowly start, and time and again we might come and discuss about the same concept. Like here we'll discuss like how do you do the debugging of this, and we'll discuss like the advantage of using Terraform Cloud to store the state, and then we'll use the GitHub Actions to deploy our infrastructure, and then we'll create a new image of our existing products API, and then we'll deploy it to the microservice into AKS, and then we'll verify, and then we'll speak about the unit testing, and we'll speak about the code analysis. Why do we need to do this code analysis? And we discuss about the JFrog X-ray, and we'll discuss about the software composition analysis tool. Why should you worry about this software composition analysis, and what is this code review? And there are a lot of wish list which we put it here, but we are not removing anything out of the plate. We kept it. We'll come and revisit, but the next episode we'll do everything through build and pipeline, and then we'll go and introduce the Angular client. So we'll time and again we'll come back and we'll do that. Okay, let's hit the road real quick. So
sounds good. And I guess for everybody watching, if there are any questions, drop them in the chat, and we can try and pick them up as we go, or get a little bit interactive in the chat. Yeah, let's go for it, Swami.
Sure, thanks. Guys, so let's hit the road first. Let me come back over here. So I'll be switching between my machine and the virtual machine which I'm using. So the first thing is we'll see how to deploy the static website in S3. So I have an Amazon S3 account. So I have an Amazon account, and here is the S3. And I think that is from it's global. It doesn't belong to any region. So if I come to the buckets, now these many buckets are there. So let that buckets be there. I was experimenting on elastic bean. So right now I see this is one of the bucket, and we'll quickly see this what is there for us. Let me go to this documentation, starter files, and S8. Here is this, and we have variables, and you see that S3 bucket dev002. That's the one which is the root domain name, and you can see this in the main Terraform file. In the main Terraform file, you see the I am using Terraform Cloud to store the backend. So imagine a scenario where you are working with multiple clouds. You have a bigger project for whatever the reason they are using two different cloud providers. Let's take the same thing. We right now we are dealing with Azure as well as AWS. Now, if you go and see in a previous episode where we stored the storage, the Terraform state in our Azure, and I'll show you here is that we stored it in our Azure. And now when we are dealing with AWS, if we store the state of the Terraform in AWS, now let's assume we have a source code, the Terraform files, the config files is here. Now you want to know the state of this, you need to go to two different clouds. You need to go to AWS to find out, you need to go to Azure and find out. I know there are commands where you can go and get the state, Terraform state list and show, and you can find out what resources are there, and you can probe into single resource also. But you have the state in different locations. How about having it in a centralized location? So that's is this. So you can have a centralized location in this Terraform cloud. You can route the state, maybe it's of AWS or Azure or Google or your on-premise or whatever it is, but still you can maintain the state in one centralized location where everyone can come and see this one. Okay, that's the thought. I don't know whether I'm making sense or not.
No, it does make
You can
sense.
pick
Yeah.
it.
So rather than setting up a location in a separate AWS account or Azure subscription and a storage account, you can actually use Terraform Cloud. I believe there is a free tier in that, isn't there, Swami? But you can also pay for that as a service.
I'm using the free tier.
Yeah.
We are a community service guy, so I'm using the free tier. Thanks to all the people
Absolutely.
who are giving free. So, hey guys, this is the HTML over here, and this one is our HTML, and this is what we are going to deploy. We have a content folder which has got the JavaScript, which has got a style sheets, and we got an error HTML, fav icon, and index.html, this entire content. So what is the critical piece? I'll just walk you through the critical piece. Rest of the things you can get it there. The very critical piece is from this one. This is the guide. So what we are doing is we are saying that the upload directory is this content. Go and get everything inside this. The star slash means anything, any folder, anything within this content folder. And another critical piece is how does it map? The content type is very, very critical. So for that content type, you can see that there is a map where MIME types. So if you go to this variable, that only those two lines are very critical. So there's a MIME types. So here the extensions, if you see that extension, we have HTML, .ico, .css, .js. So the corresponding or the respective MIME types, I kept it here. So that's the critical piece. Thanks to a couple of authors who blogged it, and I was able to get it. I was doing in a different way, but if you search this, there are two authors who posted this. I think he's the guy who posted it. Yeah, that was a straight lift from here. I think this is the guy who posted this one. Yeah, so I picked it up from here. I was doing a simple web site But when I did a Google, I found that thanks to that author who posted it. So that 2 lines are very critical. Rest of the things is pretty easy, straightforward. You can get it from Terraform's the main site. This piece is very critical, which I got it from here thanks to those authors. So we'll come in here and we'll do the Terraform. We'll just execute that. So let me go to this guy. I'm in Bash. I can come back to, let me kill these so that I get some extra space. And I'm here to CD documentation and then starter files and S8. And then what's there inside that? Okay, this is only one, it is there. So CL here. Okay, I do Terraform state list. So at this point of time, it says, okay, I need to reinitialize this. Okay, Terraform init. Let me execute this Terraform init. Okay, I need to do the Terraform login.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that will be a little bit risky. I will do that one piece from here because I already logged in to the Terraform from this box. So I'll
Yeah.
use my local box instead of again going and getting the credentials and flashing it here. Just give me a minute. Let that give me the control. Okay, I give it.
I mean, while you're doing that, Swami, we've had a question in the chat. I just talk quickly around. Somebody's asked around, GitHub Actions versus Azure DevOps and using pipelines and things like that in ADO, which is the right one for future career growth. And I guess they're both valid platforms. Yeah, they're both supported valid platforms at the moment. There's probably fair to say there's been a lot of talk over, is ADO being deprecated versus GitHub Actions? But at the end of the day, they're both fully supported. As I understand, Microsoft use a whole heap of ADO internally themselves, so it's still a supported platform as of today. So they're both very valid. But GitHub Actions is pretty awesome, wouldn't you agree, Swami?
True. So eventually, the future is GitHub Actions. Future is GitHub.
Mm-hmm.
So you can slowly see. We'll show some of the things what we are doing, Johnny. So you can see that. I'll take that question. We can see that right now the Terraform state, it doesn't have anything because I deleted that resources. So let me be here on this and showcase a couple of things. Here, if you see that there are no runs at this point of time. The last run was, if you see that last run was 3 days ago. So let me do Terraform. Johnny, just give me 5 minutes. I want to show this and then go back to that question. I'll take the question. I want to focus on this. You guys see this when you do a Terraform plan. This guy, you can come back here and should do a little bit of things, a few seconds. So you see this, even the planning, this guy is using the backend. Okay, and because that's how I configured it. It executes it remotely, not on local. So this guy maintains. A few seconds ago, you can get into this and see the details. Whatever you're seeing here. See this? That everything is being maintained on the state. I mean, it's pretty safe. I mean, every cloud, they do all the PCI, PADSs and different certifications to keep the data safe. And here, multiple teams from a bigger project having multiple clouds, maybe on-premise, hybrid cloud, and one of the cloud or multi-cloud. For multiple reasons, I felt this is a good solution. I might be wrong, but that's what I think, Robbie, you can present. So I do Terraform apply, auto approve. So let's do this. And this guy is applying. We can again come back over here. You can see that the previous is 3 days ago, and now we can come back. The previously we did a plan few seconds ago. Now it's executing. Let me come back to this one, find out what is the location I'm pushing this. Let me go to this and find out it's a global one, even though I marked it as an West US, but the S3 buckets are global. So
Yeah.
let me let me come in here, and it will start creating it. In the meanwhile, we can discuss something else. Let's go and see the Terraform one. So it's this guy is applying. So we can see, okay, apply also finished. That means there should be a S3 bucket over here, and that's what is our bucket. We named it eShop S3 bucket dev 002. And one more good thing is you can see that it is spitting out the FQDN. You can come to this FQDN and do an HTTP into that FQDN, and you should see this site for the audience. I post it here. Anyone who wants to give it a shot, they can kick in. So now I think there's a question. You said that
Yeah, we've got RK Farms is asking about what is Terraform state. So I mean, I've just briefly
right. So
mentioned what that is.
that's a pretty good question. What is Terraform state? Why do we need to maintain separate cloud and not in code base? So see this, the Terraform state is pretty much a, keys of the kingdom. So it has got a lot of things. That's the reason I'm not flashing it over here. So it will have the credentials. Okay. So if you maintain that, so that means you are holding the keys of kingdom in your hands. So that keys goes to the wrong hands, that means it's no more a secret. So the Terraform state has to be stored, and that is the reason you see that Terraform state files will be put in .ignore files. Okay, so that's one query. So what was the previous question? Previous question was Azure DevOps and GitHub Actions. Which one is right one for the future career growth? So, okay, Uma, sir, you're the guy who was asking about that debugging. So I included that in this session. Thanks, Uma, Maheshwar, for that. So if you see the DevOps and GitHub Actions, so when you see the last time when we introduced the DevOps, it has got everything, the boards, and it has got the source code repository, it has got the pipeline, it has got everything there. Now, if you come and see that, let me flash two things so that we can do comparison from apples to apples kind of thing. Okay, so right now at this point of time, the GitHub has a lot of features, if not equivalent to Azure DevOps, but it has got a decent amount of features. We can do at least a high level comparison, if not a deep dive. But let me come back over here and see the. Let's see this one, the pipelines and all those things. Let me come back to our GitHub repository. Let me go to the projects. You can see that you have the projects, so you can maintain the projects and go and do what is your requirements and everything you can put it. So we just created one of the new project, so it has got some of the things which are already available, like you can create this, assign it, and create a bugs and tickets and all those things. This is little bit of regarding the boards and other things. Now when it comes to the source code repository, you have a source code repository. Now you go to settings, still you can do a deep dive, like you can have the collaborations, and you can have the branches, tags, and you have the GitHub actions. Okay, you can have environments, so which environment you need to go and do. Almost I see that equivalent, it's coming up to the speed, if not equal footing with Azure DevOps, that GitHub is also equivalent, and it's coming right towards the equal footing of Azure DevOps. Because right now, if you see that Azure DevOps and GitHub Actions and GitHub, both are almost doing the similar thing or same thing, because you have the source code repository, you can have boards, and you can have the build pipeline, release pipeline, and do the deployment, and a lot of things are pretty much similar. Now what is happening is you are supporting two different functionalities into same functionalities in two different places. So future, I'm assuming it will be GitHub, because this has got a bigger space, and you have private Git repositories, public Git repositories, and it's here since a decade, I assume, if I'm not wrong. So it is pretty much future will be GitHub Actions. I mean, the entire GitHub will be the future. Okay, that's one thing. Both of that, and RK forms we spoke, and then Alan.
I'll keep an eye. I'll keep an eye on the questions now, Swami.
Yeah.
I mean, we can kick through the
Okay.
content now for today, and I'll keep.
Yeah.
I'm keeping an eye.
Okay.
There.
You keep an eye on that. Let me go to the next steps, because we have a lot of things planned, and I want to hit all those points. Okay, so that was the first thing, and now let's come back to discuss on Azure infrastructure as a code files, and you can come in to my box over here. This is my Azure virtual machine, and we can go and create this environment variables. So inside this environment variables, you can create one. This is TF log and TF log path. Okay, you can do two different ways. So I'll show you a new one. TF log path. Okay, so in this TF log path, so whatever is there, you can create this this dot in that folder. I'm just creating. Now once we come back over here, and let me close this and go back to and we have our Terraform files. Okay, Terraform files in a separate repository. And there will be one session where we will show that how can you create a main folder structure. Just wait for 3 more sessions, because that's when we'll be dealing with multiple repositories. Right now we are dealing with only 2 repositories. So Angular client and identity, they are in making. Just bear with us for a couple more episodes when we'll be up and running with multiple repos, and how do you create and fork everything. So that's what is the thing. Now let me come back real quick into this, and we'll explain why we are maintaining 2 different repositories, and I mean multiple repositories, not two different repositories. There'll be multiple repositories. Each microservice will have its own repositories, right? So if I see this to a AKS, the folder structure will be changing at this point of time. These are base version of the Terraform. It is the worst thing on this face of earth. Consider like that. It's a base version. So we'll come back over this one. Terraform init. I do a Terraform init. So okay, so I need to change that, the file name, environment variables, that is Terraform log path, is this one, and edit the file name I should give. Okay, yeah, got it. Terraform.log, I do okay, and I do okay, and let's re-execute that. Okay, I need to better I'll open a console, because again I changed it. it will not take it. So I have to go to this folder and run that command from a console. That way, let me copy that.
Is it permissions thing on
this.
the folder? Is it, Swami?
Yeah. I think I'll do a CD. That is much simpler than that. This guy's doing pain, GitHub action, and eShop microservices, and I do that, and CD. There are a lot of eShop main and CD infrastructure and CD AKS, and you can Terraform init. When I do Terraform init, you can see that that guy is executing, and you can come and see that there is a log file. So if that is okay, you can do that. Or if you want to push everything into a logs folder or some other folder, let's see that example also. In this case, what we have to do is we'll go and change the environment variable to the TF log path. I'm not at this point of time considering the trace and other things, but I'll show you, which is already there at this point of time. I switched it off, and I'll close this. First, let me copy the path, so it saves few seconds of everyone's time, not only my time. So I do CD. Okay, now if I do Terraform init, and you can see that it executes this, and now it goes and creates the log file inside that. But if you don't create this log folder and go and create the environment variable, that will blow. That will be little bit risky. That's one thing. Another thing which I want to discuss this one, but ensure that the tf underscore log. So tf underscore log, whether you can do this debugging. This is the URL. You can see this. So you can have this trace debug info warn and error. Use it once while you are doing the development, and ensure that you want to investigate or hunt down any of the issue which you're facing. It is a good handy tool. So that's the thing which I wanted to discuss about builds. And then let's come back to the discussion on GitHub Actions deploying the infrastructure. Yes, I just wanted to show you. I don't want to derail this discussion, and I'm sure Johnny will not allow me to derail.
Well, no, I mean, it's a valid point there. Just even if you're trying to debug things, sometimes there are permissions issues. Sometimes, it's simple things. You're in the wrong folder trying to do initialization of the Terraform, and you're just simply in the wrong folder. So, being able to set those environment variables and see those log files is a valid thing, and it's a really handy tip to have that show up in your in the same folder that you're trying to run it against. So you can quickly see what the problems are, and you can set that level of debug, which is a nice handy little tip there.
Right. So, yes, if you see that at this point of time, we are purely focusing on eShop services products. But if you see that behind the scene, and at this point of time, we are working on these two, eShop main and eShop products. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of work which is happening for the identity, the basket service, and the Oslet, NG client, Angular 14 client, Angular 14 admin, and a lot of things are going to come out. I don't want to derail this session, but there are a lot of scripts which we have written, but we want to take baby steps to showcase how do you execute this. This is one of the classic script which I want to show that. And thanks to two authors, I'll get their name. I'll flash it some other time. I don't remember I learned it from them. That's the pretty good concept. And Robbie and I improvised their concept. It was on PowerShell, and we brought it to shell script. So you don't need to know anything on that. Just get this eShop on main, execute few scripts, it will bring all the related, like it's like a marriage invitation. They will tell, isn't it? You come with your friends and family. So it's like that. You bring this and execute this script. It will take care of bringing all the friends and family kind of microservices. I don't know derail, so just wanted to give you. Just hold on for a couple of episodes, but we'll come back. So let's discuss quickly on this GitHub Actions deploying infrastructure. Let's quickly see that what do we have at this point of time in this eShop main. We don't have anything over here. So let me quickly go kick this and then come back. So it is in the main, because this is the main project. We have offloaded the infrastructure to this guy. We will give our thought process, why did we do, but at this point of time, this is the one. And I do run workflow, and I'm saying run workflow. So what is this guy doing is that is going and deploying our eShop infrastructure. So at this point of time, the whatever is there in the Terraform files, please don't look at it. It is the ugliest version. Whatever the ugliest version we can create, we just created it. That's as a first cut. But we will move towards, because having these many microservices, 10 to 15 microservices, you definitely need it. You definitely need that to be improvised from the lot of things has to be there. But please bear with us for few more sessions. Okay, at this point of time, let me come and show you. I'm showing it. I don't want you people to look at it at this point of time, but just wanted to show. It's a very, very base minimum. It has got a Terraform block. A lot of things will be there, and in the create AKS, a lot of security issues and a lot of holes are there in this. We will fix it, but the only good thing is identity is a system assigned identity, and nothing else is there. It's just we are taking D2VS, nothing else. So if you closely watch this guy, the Terraform scan, that's what I wanted to show you over here. If I come in here, and let me go back to this one, and see, click on this scan Terraform. So it has run the checkout scan. This is the next topic which we will discuss, and see that there are a lot of things, whatever the base version of the Terraform which we have taken, it has finding a lot of issues in this one. So we are going to fix all these things, but it is we want to keep the ball rolling. Just wanted to show a few other things. Why do we need to do all kind of these scannings and other things? So we'll come back and we'll fix every one of these issues, but not at this point of time. We want to keep the ball rolling. Now we have it has done the scan, it has executed the gated build which we discussed, and it has executed the CI build. Now we are reviewing the development. My younger one is here. Is like a interrupt 21H. He is on a higher priority. I can't do anything. I'm really sorry, guys. He's playing on my desk. So approve and deploy. He has got Hulk and who's this? Captain America. I don't know. A couple of guys are on my computer table.
Some good taste in action heroes there, Swami.
Yeah, all of action heroes. He thought that this eShop is going on action, and he wants to bring in his Hulk. And two of the guys are fighting outside my desk. They are not interrupting us.
Oh, Robbie, you're there. I didn't see you there, Robbie. Let's get you in. One minute.
Thank you, Robbie.
Let's get you on the screen.
Yes, Robbie, my friend. Please go ahead.
You're coming on now. There you are. There he is. Welcome, Robbie. How are you doing?
Very good. I had a last-minute urgent performance test detail I had to attend to, so I was unavailable. I apologize. I was wondering where we are, where you were at. I can hear the action figures fighting in the background, so I figure it's got to be about 5, section 5. Where
Oh, good that did you and my son plan this, Robbie? When he introduced a lot of action heroes on my computer table, and you introduced yourself.
I told him I had some homework for the unit testing section, and he said he'd help out.
I was thinking that you and my son planned this. Like, he brings in action heroes on my computer table, and you appear on the screen. It was a coincidence. Tell me, right?
That's good. That's very good.
Okay, good to know. So let's see. We are deploying. So there you go. So it's deploying the infrastructure. Now, if you see that previously when we used to create the infrastructure, we were running either manually or either through the Terraform files, through some scripting or through a scripting or some kind of scripting mechanism. We used to execute it. Now we are not worrying about that. So the moment you check in the code and the approver approves it, that goes and gets deployed. So now slowly we are moving towards manual creation to semi-automation to automation. That we will do. We will see that benefit in the next episode, how the things are moving. So right now, and I'm telling, there are a lot of things we are introducing. Like Uma Maheshwar, last episode he asked, what is how do you debug? So we introduce now, and we are introducing few concepts. Like now, if you see that this AKS is a base version with a lot of issues, just 2 lines or 3 lines just to keep the ball rolling and keep us up and running. That's what we are doing. And now future we will work towards the betterment of our lives. So that's this topic. And let's move to the next topic to see what is there with this one. So we discussed that.
We should test it, right?
Yeah, this is the publishing. So right now, if I come and see this one, the Docker, this eShop on products. So when did we push it? Robbie and we pushed it 6 days ago. So that's the 6 days ago. Now we will do it. That was an interrupt 21H, my younger son. So here we have.
I love it. At work sometimes, whenever in one of my projects, I had this wonderful project manager who was really funny, really comic. Had a good sense of irony, kind of. And whenever somebody had a baby recently, and whenever you could hear the baby in the background, you'd be like, not all the time, obviously, but just when a color or something, he'd say, please put the baby on mute. Everybody cracked up.
God created babies without that feature.
Right.
We have to live with that bug. That's God's bug. Okay.
Like, no, babies don't have to go on mute.
God forgot to add that feature. So one good thing while we are tagging the version is that we are using the git log. If you come and execute this command, how does this give a unique tag as this? It uses that. Okay. Let's see that. We just click on this. So this version tag. So it is creating using this log in the pretty format from the percentile level. Here you can see that this is a pretty simple script. All it does is, because I already logged into my Docker desktop, it's not asking. If not, it will ask you to log in. And we are building this using this Docker file, and also we are tagging this, and then we are doing Docker push, and the repository, it's going to my Docker Hub repository. It's just 10 lines of code, and the first 7 lines, to make it big, I added the comment. I used to do this in my examination to look down, even though it's a 2 marks answer. I should have. I would have written pretty big answers.
Yeah, I can remember when I just went back to complete my master's a few years ago, and they always had you put in like a standard comment block on the top of each file you would turn in.
So I'm remembering my school days to write more number of lines, assuming that I'll get more marks. Unfortunately, my friend who writes 2 lines, he'll get full marks, but I don't get full marks. Jesus. Okay, so it's publishing right now. You can see this. Technically, we are executing the Docker commands itself. Instead of executing one by one, we pushed everything. And I have to thank Robbie for introducing me in this shell scripts, and that's where Robbie and I weekly we do pair programming, and we push a lot of these things.
Taught you everything I know, except for the mistakes that you made. And there's any mistakes you made are yours, but everything else.
So it pushed it, and you can see that we can come back to our Docker Hub, and let me go to the tags, and I can come back. I mean, technically I need to do refresh, and you can see that AF1127, that's the tag which we have seen at the top when it started building.
Yeah,
This one, A1FF. And one more good thing is we can do, the JFrog is coming in the next section, but at least I want to show this one of the X-ray scanning, which Robbie will speak a little later, but I would like to stop there. Right here we were able to push it few seconds ago, and that was the section of how do you push it. And this will also, the next thing, I mean, till here you can see everything is happening through the build pipelines. Now, whatever we are showing at this point of time, creating and pushing, this will be offloaded to the build and release pipeline. That's the next one. And also, whatever we are deploying right now, we are deploying through this script. So whatever which is happening, take the binaries, create an image, push it to your Docker Hub, and take it from the Docker Hub and deploy it to your AKS cluster. So all these 3 steps: create the infrastructure through build pipeline and release pipeline, and create the image and push it to the Docker Hub through the pipeline, and deploy it through the pipeline. Everything is through the pipeline. So this is the one final episode. We do it through script, then next everything through automation, through the pipelines. Okay. So we did this. Let me deploy this microservice. So we will be executing this before script. Okay, so let me go back to my box over here. You can see this, the scan was complete. That does not mean that we wrote a good code. We wrote less number of lines. Jokes apart.
So what it's checking there, just to touch base on that a little bit, the jQuery is checking for licenses and for known security issues with like versions for packages that are installed in the repository, in the image, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I got from looking at the documentation that we saw on JFrog. And then you found a different tool that we use in the CI process that actually checks within the code at the libraries that are used in the build process to produce our code, our product, right?
Okay, so I have to do some maintenance task because this is a live thing.
Yeah.
And okay, so now let me come back here, and I'll go and clone connect. Let me see, because I have that easy mask. This one, get credentials. I will go back over here.
Do you need to keep your screen separate? You want us to pull the camera off screen for a second?
Yeah. There we are. You're off for a second, Swami, so you can go and do what you need to do.
Yeah, you have privacy.
Yeah, I have an easy mask, so it doesn't show those credentials.
Oh, have you got that Google plugin? The
mask, Google Chrome plugin. Yeah. So let me. Yeah, you can flash it back. So here you can see that I just executed this command. AZ AKS great credentials, the resource group. I mean, technically I took it from here. It was the AKS. They will give this command when you click on this command connect. it gives us, because you can see this easy mask it doesn't show that. I mean, this is the one which we're going to dismantle, even if it shows.
And
The
command that it gave you doesn't actually spell that stuff out on the command line either. To get credentials.
Yeah. So you can see that at this point of time, I'll go and expand. You can see this here. We have the workloads, and inside that workloads, let's see what pods do we have. And we are going to discuss on what is this system pod, and everything we are going to discuss. A lot of things we are going to discuss, but at this point of time, let's do this, and then we'll come back and we'll learn. So whatever we are seeing here, the same thing which we can see it here. Like you can go to this workloads, but I just want to highlight one point here. That's in the workloads. We have the let's go to the namespace. No, not in namespace. We'll go to this nodes. I need to go to nodes. I'm sorry. It's a node pool. So these are node pools or worker nodes. Here we call it as node pools in Azure world. So that's very important thing to note. And one more important thing to note here is, even though we are working on the Docker images, but the runtime which we are using, which is being used in Azure AKS, is containerd. That's one point I just wanted to highlight, but we'll come and do a deep dive on AKS, pretty deep dive. But as we told that we'll start ugly and then we'll improvise from there. So at this point of time, we have our cluster. Everything is there. Now we'll go and execute that one more script. So boom, the moment we execute, it goes and it deploys. So you can see that we execute the script, and you can come in here and you can see the services and ingress that it shows. We'll come back and we'll learn what services are, what parts are, what other things are there. But at this point of time, we'll just execute it, and then we'll come back and we'll fix our fundamentals. So technically, you can see the namespace. Okay, we'll get down to the bottom of all those things, but you can see you have the service and ingress, and one of the thing is external IP. So just click on this external IP. It goes there, and we have to add /API/v1/products. So that's where it does a communication between two different containers executing inside the AKS, and it brings in the products. Okay, we'll see. So you can see this eShop Mongo and eShop products. So there are two different things are there. We'll look into a few other things and we'll come back. And okay, what? You don't have any products? What? There you go. So a moment of deceive.
Somebody's stolen all our products.
Right. So now I'm learning some Spring Boot so that we can show some one of the microservice in Java. So identity is also in making. Now you have the eShop deployed in our AKS, and this is an IP. So what we have to do is we have created the collections, and the collections is there, which we will discuss. How do you use that collection? How do you execute the main script so that you'll get everything? We will discuss little 2 sessions down the lane, so that you guys can grab everything and try on your own. So at this point of time, you have 8 different environments. So we tested a lot of things. Now we are testing with AKS. The only thing is you need to go on this and click on edit and change this IP. And other mechanisms will come and we'll discuss about that. But at this point of time, this is one of the way to do it. It's not the only way, but this is one of the way to do it. Okay. So now we did it. Come back to this products, and there you go. The products which you have seen is being appeared. You can see this do a mouse over on this, you see the IP. That means technically it is coming in from here. Robbie, anything to add from your side, Robbie?
I'm
On the
chomping at the bit because I wrote the get configuration, the configuration service that provides that information, so we would be able to get it dynamically through Postman, but we got to actually show that service first, and that's going to be further down the line, right? That's after we go and get Ocelot going and whatnot.
The configuration one, the moment we introduce Angular,
Yeah.
episode 10, technically episode 10. Yeah,
Okay.
episode 10 is where we show the products. Right now we are using this Postman to get the products. Episode 9 is full end-to-end CICD.
Yeah.
No manual intervention, just click on button, you provision the infrastructure, you push the image to the Docker, get the image, deploy it, boom, everything automated.
That's
And
right.
then we'll
And we
execute.
just have a very simple API, a node service to provide common configurations for our application that would be easy to plug into Postman and make it so that you're not copying and pasting.
This one. At this point of time, we are creating bits and pieces. Robbie and I, we are testing it every week, but eventually that might get pushed into this AKS. Working in multi-cloud, you don't know in which session you're using what term. And I'm speaking on AWS, I'll call virtual machine. I'll say, I'm sorry, this is EC2. Okay, so now we'll speak about this unit test. Why do you need this unit test? So some of the companies which are very, very strict, they will say that the definition of done, in the definition of done itself, they will say that if you don't have the 80% of unit test coverage, then they will have a build breaker. So that means there is a build breaker for unit test cases in Azure DevOps. So you have a build breaker. So for SonarQube also you have a build breaker, and for unit test cases also you have a build breaker. So you can have this build breaker. Some of the teams are pretty strict. So anything to add on that piece, Robbie, about the unit test?
Let me just rephrase that kind of. I totally agree. It's a valid thing to add. You probably don't want it to be really high. Even in a TDD oriented environment, a standard is somewhere like 2/3 or 80% coverage. And that's to help encourage test-driven development to actually be faithful in its process. In a place that's not TDD oriented, like I'll just say that some companies might have TDD levels of coverage that are required anyway, but I don't know that that's really beneficial to them. And I think a healthy amount is probably somewhere between 1/3 and like 50% at the really high end, if you're not particularly practicing TDD. The main thing, though, is that you want to be sure, you want to have some assurance that by the time you pass it on, it's going to function. Whenever you go from your unit testing, the next step up usually is, correct me if I'm wrong, it's integration testing. You want to make sure that it works once it's integrated, right? And then after you've integrated all of your pieces together, you want to gather those together and make sure in regression that your whole application is going to function. This is the first piece in that. This is the piece that's built on the programmer's tests that they're doing while they're building it to make sure that this does what I think it does.
So other thing which I would like to add, I want Robbie and Johnny to pitch in on this point. Imagine I've written a DLL. There's no user interface. This DLL does some logic. It might call an backend API, or imagine like it's a data access layer. I go and speak to the database and get it. And I give it to the guy who's writing the API. So you use it from a repository or wherever he wants to use it. He'll use it directly from the controller or using through a repository or whatever the mechanism. And if I don't have a proper unit test cases, I know the contract, what I expect before calling the EF core or Dapper or ADO, or I write a straight SQL queries, whatever the mechanism. But I have a contract. But does it work if that contract gives? I don't know. I just coded it. How do I can confidently tell that, hey, Robbie, go and integrate this one? If I would have backed up if I've written 4 methods and I've backed up each of this method with at least happy day scenarios, one scenario covering each of these 4 methods, I'm 100% sure that when Robbie is doing happy day scenario, if he gives me this contract, my DLL will work. And there might be edge cases where this might be failing, but at least to a decent confident, I can tell that my library works. So definitely unit test case is for good for our health. It's better. It's for the betterment of the life. Anything to add on top of this, Robbie? Am I making sense on this?
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. The only other thing I'd say is that, there's like almost an adage or jokes about this that, if you ask a developer, it always says, well, it works on my machine, right? That's an example of a place where a unit test would have been helpful.
Yes. It works on this contract, not on my machine. You give me this contract, it works. Now, another good thing, I mean, we are at this point of time, we can see that we are somewhere around 30 plus percentage, but we will eventually bring it up. But we wanted to focus on few other things. So we are taking this at later point of time. We have a lot of time, we'll come and we'll fix it. But wanted to show that you can have this code coverage, and this can get into what
Look how good we
are
were
the
at the start.
libraries.
Oh,
Yeah,
sorry.
this
I
is
said,
very
look how
good.
good we were at the start. It starts really high and then it just immediately goes down at the very beginning.
Yeah, that's because I added only one library, and it said that okay, you have covered everything. And then as and when we started going, that's where it recognized, hey, you're cheating. You didn't write this code. So that's where it started falling down. And we are bringing it up, but you can see that it gives us a pretty good coverage, like what files and everything. You can uh, get into the deep into the weeds, and it says that what libraries has been covered and everything. You can get deep into that. You can get into the source code, and you can see this, what are the libraries, and at least it says that this is green and this is red. Our percentage might further fall down if we start writing the unit test cases for data and infrastructure, because at this point of time, it is considering only repository, core, and API. These 3 libraries it is considering. The moment we start writing it for data and infrastructure, this 36 might come down to, I don't know what percentage, but it comes down. But eventually, the end of the day, the story is this, guys. You have to back up with unit test cases. That's good for everybody's health to avoid sleepless nights. That's what I say. So, Robbie, you want to start on this static code analysis?
Actually, could you boot me up on that a little bit? Because I apologize, but I'm not. Is that the J? That's the JFrog.
Oh, it is. It could be the JFrog, and also this the code quality, code QL, which we are using.
That's the other one. Yeah. So I was mentioning earlier, we brought in other sources to look for security issues. None of the 3 of us, I think, are particularly security operations oriented, cyber oriented, in our thinking. But that doesn't mean that we don't want to do it, So we're just doing really basic stuff here. Not that we know how to properly configure this towards a standard or anything, and apply a company-wide, perspective for security standards. But in the least, you would definitely want in your build process, you want to check, do I have a secure system? And then with the images that you're going to publish, you want to validate, does the image that I'm publishing, is it built from secure materials, right? And so that's what those 2 pieces do.
Right. And also, as Robbie rightly said, none of us are experts in security, but we do know that we are lucky to be working in the projects where they use it. There are other team who does this, but it's better to have the code quality scanning, which unearths some of those things. Another good thing about this code scanning is when you do this code scanning, you see that when you run the code QL, it will find out the alerts. So at this point of time, as we wrote only less number of lines, even in that less number of lines, we are lucky that we don't have any of this code quality issues. And the other good thing is we need to always have this dependent bots. So what is this dependent bots? I will show you in a minute. So if I if we go to this insights, so there might not be any issue in the 2 lines whatever we have written, but I'm using Johnny's library, and he had a security hole in his library, and without even we knowing, someone knows the Johnny's library, they can capitalize that. So that's what this dependency graph does. Sorry, Johnny, I have used
That's
your
okay.
name on that.
It probably would be my repo, yeah.
So this guy goes and scans, it does a dependency graph, like what libraries we are using. And then it also shows that if ours is an open source project, who else is using this library, and the dependent bot. So at this, any of these issues, if you have that, that goes and finds it out. So if I would like to show one of the dependent graphs thing in my previous last year's repository, it looks pretty ugly. Speaker series 2021. So there are few of those dependent. You see that it's all red colored. Like you can come into the security, and you can see that dependent graphs. So there'll be a lot of these things. So the good thing what the GitHub folks doing, they scan our libraries, they go through this dependence graph. Like you see this, if you go to the inside and you go to the dependency graph, so they tell that what is your project and how many libraries this project dependent on. And then anytime they find an issue, they will raise an automated pull request. So you can get into that automated pull request, and I'll show you one or two. Here you have a bunch of these things. Like if they say that authorization bypass through user control key URL passphrase. Like if you go into that, so this guy tells that, okay, this library is having an issue. So affected version is this. So less than this is affected version, please start using this one. So they will raise an automated alerts. This is one good thing about enabling those things. All you have to do is write your code and enable those security things. So there is an automated scanning which happens, and as well as it.
I got to imagine in the near future, you're going to have something like Copilot that'll actually produce a pull request on the basis of those alerts, you know?
Oh, right now it is automated alerts. You will get alerts every now and then. Once every now and then it scans, and it gives you the pull request. Like if you see that
it does a pull request.
It does, yeah. That's what these are automated pull requests.
I mean, we were looking on the security tab. I didn't know that they were also pull requests. That's awesome.
Oh, that's what they give
the pull request.
Here. Seriously, I mean, 50% of our job is done. I'm a little worried. Next couple of years, you start thinking about a form with 2 red color buttons and 10 text fields. There will be a screen appearing on your laptop saying that, hey, you thought about this screen. Is that right? Machine learning and artificial intelligence.
But you joke. Have you not seen that ability to draw a sketch of a front end and scan it in, and AI will build you a front end.
There's a professor I follow in Texas who is working in that field, and they're getting this stuff is getting pretty sophisticated now. It's pretty incredible.
So these are automated pull requests. Robbie, I'll tell you one other instance. Every day I'll do some kind of sample programs. Once what I did is I created all the infrastructure which I provision for the demo, and after the demo I'll dismantle these entire infrastructure, and again I'll create in the next demo. One day what happened is I just created a SQL server. I did an demo, and then I deleted the SQL server, but forgot to remove that FQDN of the SQL server, including the password. I checked into my GitHub repository. Next day, I'm getting an email saying that, hey, you checked in this into your GitHub repo. They scan it for those kind of passwords also. GitHub has got that.
What other things can we scan for?
One is for the password, another one is for this security, and there is one for the licensing also. That is this one. The next one is the software composition analysis. So I did some kind of reading. We can use Veracode or a lot of other things are there who does this software composition analysis. That is what all the libraries which you're using and how many dependent libraries are there, even though you don't have issues in your code. But if there is an issue which has been recognized or identified in your libraries which you're dependent on, so this guy flags it. And another thing is on the license. Like if you use that GPL license, like this license is like general public use. Like Robbie has written a license, general public license. I used that license and I sold my product to Johnny. Now Robbie will sue me because I used his library. Either I need to remove his library and then
So
it's okay.
that's actually not true. If I use GPL, I'm going to tell you you have to publish your source code. And if you don't,
Yeah, that's what I'm telling.
code, then
I
I'm
have
going
the
to
source
sue
code.
you.
You will come with behind my life. So these kind of things also is very, very important. So when you are creating any product, these things, even though it looks very minute, or at least you are using a library, MIT license or something, you have to keep the original license and give attribute, those kind of things. But when you are developing an enterprise grade product, these things are very, very critical, like automation, uh, and CICD pipeline, security scanning, and the unit testing, static code analysis, and the software composition analysis. These are pretty much, because you might lose your entire fortune if you don't have uh, this in place. What do you say about this, Robbie and Johnny?
I say I got to learn more about it, honestly. I like that one. And almost all of my non-professional work has been done without any, like I'm happy to share my work and publish it online. And I have very few private repositories. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't consider, taking an idea of my own further, and I'd hate to lose it over something like that. So that's an awesome tool to have.
The couple of other points I would like to explain in this one. So you do static code analysis, the security scanning and everything. So does that mean that your code is safe? No, this is only one side of the equation. The other side of the equation is, what if you deploy? Are there any security holes there? Definitely there are. So that is the reason we used to run that web vulnerability scanners. So the static code analysis is one side of the equation. There are multiple pieces which all come into the development. So you need to do static code analysis, ensure that you have written a good code, and then code qualities and sonar cube scanners and those kind of things, and then the software composition analysis and the dependency library things and the licenses. This is all bits and pieces. And the next thing is the web vulnerability scanners. That means you deploy it. The static code is good, but what if you deploy? Are there any issues in the way you configured your server or the way you configured your virtual machine or your network? Are there any holes which will enable, like one of the classic things which when I did this PCI PADSS certification at the time, I came to know about the tool which I was using it, Helix Pro. Helix Pro. So you have an application which is running in the memory, and you scanned a card, and the card is in a string variable and it is in memory. I can scan the memory, take the snapshot of the memory using the Helix Pro, and use in case that's a forensic analysis tool to get that card number from that. So there are a lot of security things which we don't know, as Robbie was mentioning. We are not from the security side of the world, but I was really lucky to be part of all those projects where these best practices was there. So I learned from them. Back to you, Robbie and Johnny. Anything to add?
So we do have one other piece that we were going to touch on, but I know we're already 15 minutes over. Maybe we could do that very quickly and
Code
wrap
review?
up. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Code reviews. Go ahead, Robbie.
I don't know how to start that except just to jump in. I participate a lot of times as a tech lead in the teams that I'm a part of and in the pods that I get to work in. And the thing that I really pride myself on in helping other developers, or like one of the best ways to help other developers for me, is to write really good code reviews. I think between that and peer programming and actually just grooming tickets with the developers are the main ways that you get to be a benefit to your team, to help them grow and be prepared. And I benefit significantly from code reviews. The pieces that I like to see and that I try to highlight in code reviews is not just things that are wrong, like code smells or things like that, but to highlight what are the what's the piece that I'm missing. Like, am I forgetting a structural design pattern? So if I see that's the underlying core issue, I'll go and I'll research that. I'll figure out what that underlying core issue is, and I'll reference it in my code review. I want to give information that benefits the developer.
Yeah, I would like to point a couple of things. I might be wrong. I'm really sorry. I'm not pointing anyone, but some of the people, they pounce on your pull request as soon as they see, and everything they mark it. When they raise the pull request, when we go and ask that, are you doing this? They say that no, we are not doing it, but we are starting with your pull request. I say that, wow, my pull request is a playground for your your code review practices. I faced that. I told you, isn't it? I faced this many times. But what I feel, Robbie, is when we are doing a code review, why do we need to waste time? Like, that means when when I'm doing the first pull request of the project, let's assume we started our project in August, and when we do the first pull request, we find these issues. You document that in the Confluence or some kind of wiki, and from the next pull request onwards, ask the team to go and validate yourself. Check these bulleted points. We found that in the first pull request, you go and validate yourself and then raise a pull request. And we expect the second pull request should not have those issues. Like, you do mistake, but you don't do the same mistake again and again.
Yeah.
So then we will collect the second set of code review comments which are not there in the wiki, and then we update over a period of time. That wiki should become a knowledge base. So whether Johnny, Robbie, or Swami, they don't need to spend time on doing the code reviews, isn't it? There is a wiki. You go and verify your code, and on top of that, if you see this code qualities, the code QL and the static code analysis, example, this Sonar Cube analysis. So those guys are scanning nook and corner of the code, and they have the bill breakers. Bill will fail. You don't need to waste your time.
Right.
Every second we spend on this code review, you need to ensure that you should not spend the same thing again. You're catching the same bugs or same kind of issues again and again in the code. That means technically you are wasting your time. Why don't you document and ask them to go and...
That's right. You might as well be doing the coding at that point. I think that that's actually the distinction is what is the purpose of the code review? The code review is there to maintain code quality, to minimize technical debt. You got to acknowledge technical debt. Like, a lot of times it's not go back and fix it. It's to put in you forgot to put in a to do because this is something that we don't know the answer to yet. Please just go back and add a comment. But the other major part of it outside of the code base is the developer. And it's for the benefit, it's the balance of those benefits that you're responsible as a tech lead in a pod.
Right. So I see one comment from RK. So RK, at this point of time, as you see, we are in the diagram also, you see that it is mainly flavored in Azure. But behind the scene, we are working on AWS also. Eventually, the entire this solution, whatever we are developing, it should work in both the clouds. So some flavors at this point of time, as we have shown it here, there are a bunch of microservices which we all are working behind the scene. No one knows about this one, so you can see this. There are already 10 repositories. At least the work is happening in a minimum 5 of these repositories. So I can tell that ng admin is there, Oslet and ng client, and main basket identity and eShop products. I don't want to derail, but just wanted to show you that a lot of things are there. But what is there for session 9? Please go to this eShop main. You can watch these previous episodes. And the 9th session is we do everything through automation. We'll bring in some more concepts. And the 10th is we'll ask the pulse of the audience. If they want us to do a quick recap of what we discussed in previous 9 session, we can do a quick recap. We'll do a polling in next session. If audience say that no, and then we'll go directly with introducing the Angular client. And Arkham Robbie is the king of front end. So, that session will be seriously a good thing to learn about that. And slowly we'll start doing deep dive now. Bear with us for the next one session where we are dealing with one containers. And when we start this Angular clients, from there onwards, the number of containers will start increasing. Once we have this Angular client, we have 3 containers. When we have Angular admin, we have 4 containers. Then we introduce this identity service. Then we'll have 6 containers to deal with. Then we introduce Oscillate, we are dealing with 7 containers. Then we introduce a basket service, 2 more containers, 9 containers. It's like enterprise grade. At least you're dealing with 9 containers. If people don't agree, Swami, don't bluff. It's not enterprise grade. Okay. Hello world of enterprise grade. But you're dealing with 10 to 15 containers. Definitely, a lot of things are coming. I mean,
I just want to give a quick caveat, because you made a claim there. Even though I have a lot of experience in front end, and I started my current position as before switching over to technical architect as a senior front end engineer, I definitely don't claim to be an expert. To the point where I would be teaching people, or at least I'm not prepared, is what I would say. I actually kind of am a little bit of an expert at this, but I'm not well prepared to be teaching front end code at this moment in time specifically. I'm just going to do my best, have some fun. We have a non-specific product that we're targeting here, so we're just feeling, we're rounding out major important pieces and creating a presentation, like kind of a minimal presentation of what the front end would be for an eShop that doesn't currently have products.
Yeah.
Well, guys, are we going to wrap up now? I think we're pushing an hour and a half now as well. It's been great. It has been awesome.
Yes.
I mean, we've covered some absolutely fantastic areas in this episode, haven't we?
Right. So one final point, Johnny, is that the next session we'll do, that will be the final session for products. I mean, we have the wish list. We'll come back while we are discussing on the Angular. We will update it. But whatever the wish list we kept it, we'll definitely do that. Mm-hmm. And we want to progress. I think it's 9 episodes is we discussed in length about few of the things. But again and again, time and again, we'll discuss. Like we have a base cluster which has got 2 containers. Now we'll move towards the 3 containers. And how do you separate this? A lot of things are. We might not separate for next 2-3 months. And then we might come and think about the securities and what nodes are. How do you create the subnets, and how do you place those nodes in those subnets, and how do you punch the holes in the firewall to go from one subnet to one subnet? We might do it little now or little later, but a lot of things are coming. Back to you, Robbie and Johnny.
No, I think we're done. I think we're done for this episode. So no, it's good to see you guys again. I'm going away for a couple of weeks now, so I think our next live stream is on the 9th of September. If I'm not mistaken.
Great trip. I hope you enjoy. You're going to North America, right?
Yeah, up to Toronto, and a bit of a drive. So, yeah, I'll be flying out on Tuesday morning. So, got the weekend to get myself sorted now.
Awesome.
Enjoy your vacations in Canada.
Yeah,
great time of year to be up there while it's still beautifully warm.
It is looking very warm. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to it. So, look, guys, it's been great to catch up with you again. See you in a couple of weeks. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Episode 9 meetup event is up there now. You can RSVP to that. If you go into the playlist, you'll see there the link for the RSVP, and I've just dropped it in the chat there as well. But, look, guys, have a great weekend, and we'll see each other in a few weeks' time.
Bye, guys.
Bye for now.
Good night, folks. Bye.